I'm sure many of you have dealt with people who have made empty promises to show up for you in various ways, whether it be parents, whether it be friends, whether it be lovers. When you've had somebody that said, you know what, you need some support. I'm going to show up for you and I'm going to support you in this way, whether it be through money, whether it be through labor or just time and or other methods of consideration where a person promises that they will show up for you and be present for you only to pull a switch and say, you know what, psych, I can't do it. Hi, my name is Dr. Natalie Jones, and I wanted to come on here and talk about a lot of the false promises that people make. I like to call it the good old bait and switch in relationships, where a person will show up, like, for example, if you are if you're a child and you have parents, your parents promise you that they will, for example, help you with your paying for your college education. Then when it comes time to pay for the college education, they say, you know what, I'm not gonna do it. I'm not gonna do it. You're on your own. You figure it out. If you're in a relationship, a lot of people have fallen susceptible to this. I love you. I want to have children with you. I want us to raise our family together, only to then have a child and your partner is MIA and on to the next. And a lot of people consider this a form of future faking, future promises, but it goes, to me, it goes a lot deeper than that, because this isn't just romance. A lot of times a person's livelihood is dependent upon the promises that you've made them, through the relationship that you have with them. Like I said, for example, if your parents, if your friends, hey, I'm going to show up and help you move out of your apartment. I have no problem being there. You can count on me. And, you count on that extra pair of hands, and then that person totally flakes out, and then they're just kind of like, I can't do it. But this is important and paramount when it comes to big things, because this is very traumatizing for a lot of people, because you start to internalize and say, you know what, this is why I can't count on anybody to help me out. People are not reliable. I should have never done this in the first place. I can count on myself, and that's really the only person that I can rely on. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop relying on people. I'm going to stop telling people what my needs are or how they can show up for me, because they're just not going to do it anyway. Like, I bend over, backwards to help people, but when it's my turn to be on the receiving end, I'm often left empty-handed, without people willing to do any sort of emotional labor, willing to show up or show any sort of reciprocity in the relationship. So with this being said, you learn to just sort of box yourself in, rely on yourself. You become hyper independent, and there is the narrative that, like, I don't ask for anything. It really starts to create a pattern of anger and resentment in your relationships with people that continue to do this. However, if you're not careful, while you can be angry and resentful, if you continue to be hyper independent, you will tend to attract that sort of dynamic in your relationships, where people will, they won't show up for you, and you will continue to have that same dynamic where you're doing everything, and it is a one-sided relationship. So let me know if you guys have experienced this. You know, if you've experienced like, you know, people not showing up for you, whether it be parents, whether it be, you know, partners, you know, things like that. And, you know, whether you have a history of being a caretaker that's never taken care of, and you have developed hyper independence. Thanks so much.